What is Web 3.0? Do you wonder what it would have been like to know about the internet when the majority of people were still offline? Or to know how social media works when the people still depended on static information of websites? Whatever you do, it's always good to know about upcoming technologies and the opportunities it presents. Even if you missed it earlier, you are in luck now because the next internet revolution is just starting. And it's always better to be ahead than play catch up, right? Welcome to Crypto Skills, the channel that makes all the complicated crypto topics easy to understand. In this video, I'm going to explain to you what Web 3.0 is, the opportunities it offers, and what the critics are saying. But make sure you watch it to the end so you get the full picture. When you have watched the whole video, I can guarantee you that you'll be like the guy who talked enthusiastically about the internet in 1990 before anyone realized what it was. Sounds good? Let's begin. What is Web 3.0? Before we get into exactly what Web 3.0 is, an obvious question arises. What are Web 1.0 and 2.0? There can't be Web 3.0 before earlier versions, right? Well, there are no dictionary definitions for the versions of the internet, but there is a general understanding of it. Which ideas are big enough to constitute a different version of the internet? Web 1.0 refers to an internet era where websites displayed static information online. The main utility of Web 1.0 was that people around the world could access the information stored on the server somewhere else in the world. The access to information was using web directories initially, and then using search engines. This era was roughly in the period between 1991 to 2004. To give a context, Yahoo, which was the first popular search engine, was founded in 1994, and Google was founded in 1998. The most important differentiator in Web 1.0 is that the users who consumed content on the internet did not create it. The boring static websites seemed revolutionary at the time, until social media came along. Web 2.0 is based around the idea of a web platform, where users can interact and create content themselves. The platforms in turn updated dynamically in real time, based on user interaction. This generally covers platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can create content and interact with the content by way of likes, comments, and shares, for example. Web 2.0 is the current version of the internet, which is considered to have begun in 2004, when Facebook, now Meta, was founded. On that note, since we're using Web 2.0, you can show your appreciation for our efforts by giving us a thumbs up if you think we're doing a good job explaining the new age technologies in simple language. It encourages us to create more meaningful content. Alright, moving on. As fancy as Web 2.0 is, it has its limitations. As you interact with the content in Web 2.0, the big tech platforms like Meta started collecting this data to give you more personalized recommendations and personalized ads. Your Facebook feeds look way different than my Facebook feed, even if we're logged in on the same web address, facebook.com. The data collection for personalization sounds reasonable, but the controversies have shown that the data collection by big tech companies may be used, or rather misused or abused, for way more than just personalization. And sometimes even the personalized recommendations and ads are so accurate that it's creepy. You know that Meta collects data of your engagement with the content on Facebook and Instagram. But it also keeps collecting data even when you've left the website to build a profile of the users and their activities on websites to send the targeted ads. In a way, you could say it's partly useful to be exposed to personalized targeted ads rather than general ads. But it's pretty scary too, to think about how much of your data you have shared with a small group of companies online. You've probably shared more information with Facebook than you've shared with your loved ones. And that's probably an understatement too. Your data is stored on the servers of these companies, over which you have no control. Although, to be fair, you might have agreed to the terms, perhaps without reading it. So it's not necessarily illegal. But this raises moral questions about the centralization of power and the responsibilities of these big tech companies to maintain the privacy of the personal data of literally billions of people. As it has always been, necessity is the mother of invention. The term Web 3.0 was coined by Gavin Woods, one of the co-founders of Ethereum, in 2014, referring to a decentralized blockchain online ecosystem. Essentially, Web 3.0 is anticipated to overcome the problem of centralization of the data, as it is expected to be a decentralized version of the internet where people have more control over their data. It has been said that in Web 1.0 you were the consumer of content, in Web 2.0 you were the product for the advertisers, and in Web 3.0 there are claims that you will be the owner of your content. If you want a post to remain on the web, it will. If you want to get it removed, you have the authority to take it down. Now, Web 3.0 is not a technology, but an idea that encompasses technologies like blockchain to democratize the control, access, and storing of data. But how does it do that? Well, I'll show you a couple of examples. You probably didn't know it, but there are already a couple of decentralized alternatives that plan to replace the products of Google and Meta. First, you have storage. Storage is a cloud storage solution like Google Drive, yet it's quite different from Google Drive. With storage, decentralized cloud storage, files aren't stored in centralized data centers. Instead, they're distributed on a global cloud network. Storage doesn't own or operate a single data center. Instead, it takes advantage of its massive global network of storage nodes. Before you upload the files, it encrypts them and splits them into smaller pieces. These pieces are distributed among storage nodes globally and can be retrieved when needed. The interesting part about storage is that everyone can host a node for decentralized cloud storage by renting out your extra disk space and getting paid for it. But your spare hard disk at work then. The next is a social media alternative, Mastodon. While you probably do not need yet another social media channel, it is interesting to see how Mastodon decentralizes social media. Mastodon isn't a single website like Twitter or Facebook. It's an open source social network. It enables users to make profiles, post messages, images, videos, and follow other users. But unlike other social media platforms, Mastodon is decentralized, meaning that there's no one server, company, or person running it. Anyone can create and run their server on Mastodon. How does this work? Since Mastodon is an open source, any community of users can create their version of Mastodon with their own set of rules. The users can interact within their version and with the users in other versions of Mastodon, depending on the rules they create for themselves. Mastodon also offers anti-abuse tools to moderate content, which the users can adopt in their versions as they seem fit. Ultimately, it is user-driven. There are no ads and no algorithm which pushes the content to you. You decide what you see, and the community of users can decide on the rules for their version of Mastodon. Storage and Mastodon are only two examples, but there are tons of decentralized applications or dApps developed or still under development that aim to create decentralized alternatives to the users. Another concept under Web 3.0 is DeFi, or decentralized finance. DeFi essentially replaces intermediaries like banks or even governments and helps people to transact directly with each other using cryptocurrencies and smart contracts. Today, numerous DeFi applications enable users to lend and borrow money, trade cryptocurrencies, offer and get insurance, among a host of other things in a peer-to-peer mode. That is, without relying on intermediaries like banks, insurance companies, or other financial institutions. If you want to learn more about DeFi, you should definitely watch this video. One more interesting concept under Web 3.0 is DAO, or Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So, imagine a company without the board of directors and a CEO, where all the decisions are taken directly by the members. Seem far-fetched? Essentially, it's an organization that was designed to be automated and decentralized. While the classic hierarchical system has been around for a long time in modern history and works quite well in most market conditions, the DAO proposes to replace it. With DAOs, you don't need to trust anyone else in the group, just the DAO's code. which is 100% transparent and verifiable by anyone. Think of DAOs like an internet-native business that's collectively owned and managed by its members. They have built-in treasuries that no one has authority to access without the approval of the group. Decisions are governed by proposals and voting to ensure everyone in the organization has a voice. This opens up so many new opportunities for global collaboration and coordination. So what exactly is Web 3.0? Well, Web 3.0 is a big idea that consists of lots of small ideas like dApps, DeFi, and DAOs. But essentially all the Ds in these small ideas stand for decentralization. Any idea revolving around decentralization of power using blockchain technology is a part of the Web 3.0 revolution. Web 3.0 has its fair share of critics too. In 2021, Elon Musk expressed skepticism about Web 3.0 in a tweet, saying that it seems more like a marketing buzzword than reality right now. Jack Dorsey dismissed Web 3.0 as a venture capitalist plaything, which will not democratize the internet, but it will shift power from players like Facebook to venture capital funds. James Grimmelman, a Cornell University professor who studies law and technology, has become vocal about his doubts regarding Web 3.0. According to him, if part of the impetus is to resist giving up personal data to big tech companies, then the blockchain is not the solution, since that will make even more data public. Kevin Warback, the author of The Blockchain and the New Architecture of Trust, also points out that many so-called Web 3.0 solutions are not as decentralized as they seem, while others have not shown that they are scalable, secure, and accessible enough for the mass market. In conclusion, Web 3.0 does plan to make a massive shift in power. So while some of the criticism may be applicable, you can also argue that these prominent people are in fact defending the existing paradigm. Now, do you believe in the vision of Web 3.0? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to show your appreciation for our efforts and consider subscribing so you don't miss our next bite-sized explainer video on crypto. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.